Hi friends, Mayor Moreno here with your recap from last night's council meeting. First of all, we started by swearing in the council, so we have our new council member, Dariz, said hello to him. And of course then myself, sworn in as mayor, and Charles Bourbeau as council member. So honored to be back for another 2 years serving as your Atascadero Mayor. Also a little bit bittersweet, we said goodbye to Council Member Fonzi. She has been an incredible servant to this community for the last 22 years, 12 years on council, 10 on planning commission. She is a champion for really listening to people, making sure everyone is included, that we're getting all perspectives. She has been a great proponent for local control, for the business community. She is someone who really championed having our distinct sub-basin for our water. I really am going to miss her and her presence and her influence on council, but hope she can now take a vacation and enjoy a little bit of life. So now I'll tell you about 3 things that we did last night that you might be interested in. One is we looked at our preliminary estimates for community development block grants or CDBG funds. And we, as you might know, as you might expect, we have, this pot of money from the federal government, but the needs are huge. So for $94,000 that can go towards like capital improvement type projects, we are allocating a little over $20,000 to Family Care Network for them to rehab some of their transitional housing. And then the remaining portion, about $74,000 for the city of Atascadero for an accessibility project, which means ADA accessibility. So if we have a transit stop somewhere that's used frequently by the public, particularly those that need something like public transit, they don't have their own vehicle, we want to make that accessible and usable by as many people as possible. Then on the other piece of it, a much smaller piece, about $21,000 goes to public services. And so we set aside a little over $10,000 for youth scholarships for the city. What that means is when it comes to recreation, there are so many kids that want to participate in things but can't because of money, because of their family's financial situation. And so we set aside scholarships for kids to be able to participate in those activities. We also gave money to ECHO, to CASA, and some to 5 Cities Homeless Coalition. Turns out there are some families in Atascadero that have been helped by them. So that's what we did in that piece. The second thing we did was to approve our new Chief of Police, Chief Bob Masterson, who comes to us from King City. He's the current chief there. He's done a tremendous job in turning around. He came into a situation where there had been just scandal and a very low morale, a lot of mistrust, and he really built that department up to the point where there's a great trust between them and the community. He's done a lot of work with kids with youth throughout his career, and so I think he's going to be a marvelous fit here in Atascadero. He'll be starting January 4th, and I look forward to all of us getting to know him better. Finally, we looked at drive-through policy. So a year ago, as council, we said, hey, at Del Rio and San Anselmo area, we need to take a bit of a pause when individuals come in and want to develop some sort of a high-use business, say high traffic, so say gas stations, fast food, that type of thing. Because the more we start putting that area, the more we impact those intersections, and the more likely we have to spend significantly more to improve those intersections. So at Del Rio, we've been able to get rid of the roundabouts, reduce the cost by 75%. Well, the minute we trigger a certain number in trips, we could be back to those roundabouts and looking at $20 million. So we want to make sure that we don't do that and that we kind of protect that area right now. We also looked at the fees that have been charged for high traffic use businesses and discovered that while there was a particular method, a trip method that could be used, it hadn't been used. We'd been using a much lower number, and therefore, the way I see it, we've really been shifting that burden onto the rest of the community. So they haven't really been paying their fair share when those high uses come in for the wear and tear that happens to the roads. So we said we want to start using that method that we think we should have been using all along. So we took a relook at that. This is what we did a year ago. So last night we looked at that again and we said, you know what, we're going to keep it as is for now. We're doing a new impact fee study. It got delayed a little bit with COVID, as has everything. And so come spring, we expect to have that study available, and then we can look at this in the whole and see what makes sense. So that's it, your recap for last night, December 8th, 2020 council meeting, our last meeting of the year. And you'll see me back in January with our regular recaps. Bye for now.